Once upon a time, there is a young girl named Little Red Riding Hood. She lives in a small village with her mother. One sunny morning, Little Red Riding Hood's mother asks her to take a basket of goodies to her grandmother who lives in a cottage on the other side of the forest. Little Red Riding Hood happily agrees and sets off on her journey. As she walks through the forest, she sings and enjoys the beautiful scenery around her. Suddenly, she comes across a friendly wolf. "Hello, Little Red Riding Hood," says the wolf with a smile. "Where are you going?" "I'm going to my grandmother's house," replies Little Red Riding Hood cheerfully. "I'm bringing her some fresh bread, fruits, and cookies." "That's very kind of you," says the wolf, trying to hide his hungry grin. "Why don't you take the longer path? It's more scenic." Little Red Riding Hood thinks for a moment and decides to trust the wolf's suggestion. She thanks him and continues on the longer path. Meanwhile, the wolf quickly runs ahead and reaches the grandmother's cottage. He knocks on the door and pretends to be Little Red Riding Hood. The grandmother, who is hard of hearing, opens the door thinking it's her granddaughter. As the wolf enters the cottage, he quickly gobbles up the poor grandmother. Then, he dresses in her clothes and waits for Little Red Riding Hood. After a while, Little Red Riding Hood finally arrives at the cottage. She knocks on the door and enters. She notices that her grandmother looks a bit strange. "Grandma, what big eyes you have!" Little Red Riding Hood exclaims. "The better to see you with, my dear," replies the wolf, trying to sound like the grandmother. "Grandma, what big ears you have!" Little Red Riding Hood says, growing more suspicious. "The better to hear you with, my dear," answers the wolf, trying not to show his sharp teeth. Finally, Little Red Riding Hood notices the wolf's big, sharp teeth. "Grandma, what big teeth you have!" she exclaims in fear. "The better to eat you with," growls the wolf as he lunges towards her. But just in time, a woodcutter who was passing by hears the commotion and rushes into the cottage. He quickly grabs an axe and scares away the wolf. Little Red Riding Hood and her grandmother are relieved and grateful for the woodcutter's help. They thank him and promise to be more careful in the future. From that day on, Little Red Riding Hood learns to never talk to strangers and to always follow the safe and direct path. She stays close to her loved ones and remembers the importance of listening to her mother's advice. And they all lived happily ever after.